One thing I also wanted to kind of note, in the press conference over at New York, I think Conor McGregor owes you $150,000 because I think a few fans noticed you grabbing his bottles and the cans away from him. And I just thought that was a pretty great moment to see, though, because, obviously in press conferences, you want to make the biggest amount of noise. And being on the same card as Conor, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He is the money draw of the fight. But you are in a great opportunity to get those fans' attention. How do you feel about that?
All the way up until the day before it was announced, I was the main event. I was expected to be the main event. But you know what? It just makes it all that much better knowing that, I think it's pretty cool that Conor McGregor's on the card because, it just takes it up another level. Not taking away from any of the other fighters, but when Conor's on the card, that, the level just kind of goes up with the hype and everything. So I just think it's awesome. And the fact that, I did kind of take his ammo away from him. I think he does owe me a little bit of money. I knew if it started getting rough out there, he's done it before. He picked up the thing next to him, start throwing it. I know if you throw something at Eddie Alvarez, he's going to be firing back. So I didn't want to get hit. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this away from him real quick.
I mean, that's like a pre-fight bonus. I mean, we always look at the post-fight bonuses. This is like a good $150,000 way to get an extra money in the bank.
Get a locker room bonus for that one.
Oh, my goodness. I know, man. It made a lot of hype. It actually shows the video of just my hand kind of moving in and grabbing the bottles. I thought it was cracking me up.
Yeah, no.
All right, so on November 12th, when that final bell rings, how does this fight end? Where do you see yourself?
You know what? Every time I visualize a fight, it doesn't matter who I'm facing. And I always visualize my hand being raised at the end, which leads to believe, I'm not really sure how this fight is going to end. I never go out there looking for a knockout. I just let it happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm ready for a five-minute round war. As you saw when I fought Johnny Hendricks and Jake Ellenberger.
Yeah.
Against such high-caliber fighters, a knockout can happen anytime. Or when I fought Rory McDonald, it went all 5-minute rounds, all 5-5. So I'm ready for both, man. All I'm visualizing right now is my hand raised at the end with that belt around my waist. So, but I guarantee, whoever is going to be tuning in, if you're there live or you're watching at home, there's going to be fireworks.
Oh, very nice. Well, Stephen, one more question for you. I'm a big comic book nerd, and I got to ask you, how was the time you spent with the cast of Arrow teaching them how to box? I was one of the people that watched it on Facebook Live, and I was kind of entertained.
Oh, my goodness, it was sick. It was unbelievable, man. I was literally kind of starstruck working with them. And I'm a huge comic fan, huge Marvel fan.
You're literally making Anthony's day.
Say what?
You're making Anthony's day by telling him that.
I'm wearing a Captain America jacket right now. So.
Oh, heck yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. And I went to, so that was awesome, and they actually actually keep in touch, and it's actually pretty cool. And I had no idea that Vancouver was kind of like the Canadian California. There was a lot of movie stars there. So I got to hang out with them, and I actually went to New York and went to the Marvel headquarters, which was like, I was geeking out big time, bro. I mean, they had a whole comic book library there from some of the very first comics all the way up until now, and got to go around and see some of the authentic shields and Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. So me and Chris Live, we were both geeking out. It was really cool. So and that's what's so great about fighting for the UFC, all the things that kind of come along with it. So man, I'm just blessed to be a part of it and just along for the ride, man.
All right, so let's make this official on the Sherdog Radio Network. Anthony Walker is endorsing Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to play Nightwing in the Arrowverse. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. That'll be beautiful. That'll be a great move.
That would be sick. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we gotta make a movie of that, and I would be happy.
We're going to make that happen. We got to ask you about this matchup at 205. Tyron Woodley has been uncharacteristically vocal and more personal attacks, and we've seen a bit of jaw-jacking. And that's something that strikes me as odd for him, someone who's normally pretty even-keeled. Is this something that you factor into your training? Does it give you extra motivation? Does it brew real animosity? And is this something that's going to be on your mind when that bell rings?
Oh, you know what? I've been fighting for a very long time, and of course, I've been called everything in the book. Wonder Woman, Wonder Bra, Wonder Bread. So it really doesn't affect me that much. Not at all. And you know what? He can say all the things he wants, and he's actually saying that he doesn't. He respects me as a fighter, but not as a man, which I don't understand why he's saying that. But yeah, I think he's just trying to get under my skin, and it's definitely not working.
All right.
So, I'm just focused on November 12th, man, ready to do my thing when I step out there in that octagon against them.
All right. Speaking of November 12th, a good family connection will be fighting that day as well with Chris Weidman. We spoke with his coach, Ray Longo, last week, and he called you, in mob terms, quote unquote, a connected guy. Now, how does Ray Longo's tutelage, how's that helped you stylistically in the cage?
You know what? It's actually helped me a lot. I mean, he's such a brain when it comes to, game plans and strategy. And, of course, being out there with Chris Weidman and Matt Serra, training with those guys, some of the world's best, jiu-jitsu and obviously fighters, Chris Weidman, having somebody like that, in on my legs all the time has definitely helped me out with my wrestling. And also for him, with my speed and I'm a whole lot faster than a lot of guys his size. So whenever he steps out there with guys his size, they seem a whole lot, slower than, to him. So, we're both helping each other out. We're both going to be fighting together on the same card. I'm actually headed up there, not next week, but the week after, the 24th through the 30th, and to get some more training in with those guys. So, it's a home away from home, and I think it's pretty cool that, New York has kind of brought me in as one of their own. I've been up there going to training with him since his first fight with Anderson, so that's definitely a bonus, man. It definitely puts a smile on my face that they have, accepted me kind of as one of their own.
Now, the home away from home comment brings something to mind. So I was wondering, and I'm glad you're on the line to answer this question. Were the boos for Woodley because it's your home away from home, or was it because of the controversy that Woodley sparked with trying to get the Diaz or GSP fights?
You know what? Maybe a little bit of both. I'm thinking. I never actually really sat back and thought about it. But I have thought about how it's kind of getting into his head a little bit. When they started booing him and he speaks up and says, I can't believe you guys are booing me, I can kind of tell it affected him a little bit. And so, yeah, man, I think I don't think he's breaking mentally, but he's letting it get to him too much. So I don't know if that's going to affect him when he steps out there or not. But I think a little bit of both, me being up there training with him a lot. Of course, we've gone around, done a lot of social media around New York and Long Island. And like I said, I really appreciate all the fans actually getting on board and getting behind me. And there were a lot of those guys upset that he wasn't accepting, the fight for the rightful welterweight guy, and that's me. He was wanting that money fight. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do feel that you have to defend that title a few times before you start asking for it. I think a lot of fans felt the same way. And so, yeah, man, I think it had to do a little bit of both.
All right. Wonderboy Thompson on the line. This is Anthony Walker and Jules Cohen. We are the Fight Nights on the Sherdog Radio Network.
Now, Stephen, looking at your previous matchup stylistically, you defeated the former champion in Johnny Hendricks, arguably the same wrestling pedigree as Tyron Woodley. And then you also defeated Roy McDonald, who also fought Tyron, and defeated him in a really, really good decision fight. What do you bring into this fight, though, in terms of your skill set? Because we noticed a steady progression in your own wrestling defense.
Oh, man, yeah. One of the main things that I've really been focused on since the fight with Matt Brown has obviously been my wrestling defense. And, working that every day, working on it religiously, to be honest with you, has helped me tremendously. And actually go out there and defeat Johnny Hendricks the way I did. And Rory McDonald has given me all the confidence in the world that, hey, you know what, I can stand out there and bang with the best and with high caliber wrestlers as well. Tyron Woodley is definitely kind of fairly the same style as Johnny Hendricks. Obviously, he has a different side forward, but he's got heavy hands and a good wrestling background. So, but he doesn't move a whole lot. He does kind of stand in there. He blitzes every now and then, but he also tires out fairly quickly. We've been watching his first fight all the way up to his most recent fight, and he hasn't made a whole lot of changes in his game. But you know what? Looking at that, we have our game plan, but I'm preparing for the best Tyron Woodley ever, whenever he steps out there. So I'm not taking this fight lightly